Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 10 Toes Down with Jen. So excited to have you guys today.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Okay.
Isn't it good to be in another 10 Toes Down podcast?
How are you feeling today, David?
I am feeling very, very good.
I'm not.
Why not?
I'm not. I'm not. My back is hurting and I'm in a little pain today. So this is today is a little bit more challenging than other podcasts. I will say that for sure. But yeah. I am 10 toes down.
10 toes down.
Yeah. So, I was thinking about like different relationships, and I was thinking about and having several conversations with a few people this week. People were really struggling with managing relationships of different kinds. And so, I was just like, in my book, 10 Toes Down that's coming out, one of my chapters in my book talks about managing your ships. Right? The ships being relationships. And so I figured what better way to kind of discuss relationships and how do we deal with this from a God perspective, right? The way God is intending us to live and to be when we're managing relationships. What are some of the most difficult relationships that you've had to manage?
I think when it comes in right now in my life, I see the squeeze of having children, a family, a wife, and then managing the parental relationships as well can be, you just feel that squeeze. Our parents are aging.
What you mean squeeze? What squeeze?
What you mean? Clarification. The squeeze is everyone wants you. Maybe it's more of a pull than a squeeze, right? Because it's like your parents need you in a different way. You almost have to start parenting them because they're getting older. My father, God bless him, he's forgetting a little bit more and needs some help. And then we have young children.
Yeah.
We're a little bit older to have young children, but that's pretty normal right now. But that's
I wouldn't say we're older to have young children. I think we had children when we had children. Right. That's how I look at that.
That's fair.
So you said you're feeling the squeeze of relationships?
Yeah, just there's a level of pressure because it seems like there's a pull of everyone needing you. And how do you manage that? And
how do you manage it? You're talking about you, but no, as in them. But how do you manage that, right? You're talking about the squeeze. Because it is a squeeze. I don't know. Yeah. But how do you manage it?
Yeah. I feel like people talk about balance as being this ideal place. How do you balance everything? And I feel like that's an illusion. I think it's more of a seesaw, tilt-a-world, where you lean to one side, then you go to another side, and one person may not feel the best, but that's okay because you got to take care of the other person. I think it's really like a more of a you lean to one end, you lean to another one. Hope for the best, man.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of true. In managing your ships, I find that the older I get, the more complicated it is to manage relationships.
100%.
And I feel like in my younger years, I would have thought it would have been more complicated when I was younger, and I probably would have thought in hindsight, it was so much more complicated to manage friendships in my adolescent years or my young adult years, even my teenage years, right? I was thinking that was harder, but I find it to be so much more complicated as an adult to manage relationships. And it's man, it's adults can be difficult.
Yeah.
And uber sensitive. Uber sensitive. And I'm just like, you're an adult. You should know these things. Why are you so sensitive? Like, why is this getting underneath your skin? Or why don't you understand like the person I am or who I am? And why do I have to constantly explain myself or defend myself? You know what I mean? Like as an adult, I feel like I have to do that way more than I would like to.
I'm hearing some subliminals here.
Well, what's the subliminals?
I feel like I need to be taking notes.
Well, you better get a pencil.
But how else is this supposed to work? Like if someone doesn't understand, then you gotta explain it.
No, I agree. I agree 1,000%. But what I'm saying is, as an adult, I feel like I have to explain myself much more than I feel like I should or than I need to. And I feel like managing relationships as an adult is way more difficult than any other time in my life. Right. And I don't know if that's because in my younger years, I had a syndrome of I don't care. Right. It's like it is what it is. But as an adult, it is just way more complicated to manage relationships. And that being complicated thus makes it exhausting.
Yeah. I think at least for me, I have less relationships now. Like I don't have this cadre of friends everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I have a couple of friends, you know what I'm saying? But that makes it more complicated too, because now those friendships mean a lot more, if that makes sense. They meant more back then,
but do they?
That's the other thing.
Because we talk about that, like, oh, I have like 5 friends and like they mean so much more, but like how often do you talk to them? How often do you see them? How often are you making arrangements to be with them if they mean so much more, right?
So it goes back to that tilt-a-whirl, man. Listen, when I lean that way, I lean that way. I don't know what to tell you.
No, but dude, I don't know if I would agree that I think relationships in my adult years mean much more, yes. And I make the time for the people who make time for me.
Okay.
That period. Like a lot of people say, oh, I'll make time for you. Oh, yes. Oh, let's hang out. Do you know how many people say to me, okay, Jen, let's hang out. Oh, Jen, I want to do this with you. And then I'm like, cool. And then I find myself being the person that's constantly reaching out, constantly trying to make an event, constantly trying to do something. And then I woke up one day and I said, oops, I'm not doing this no more, because people say they want friendship with me, but I'm the only one reaching out to try to do it. Like, I'm not doing that. My time is limited and I value my time, and I'm only going to give my time to people who want to give me their time.
Yeah. I think also what I found too is that, you know, I've built this life with you.
Yeah.
And so our relationship is, you know, outside of God, like this is probably the most important here.
Yeah.
Because if our relationship isn't good, then that affects the kids' relationships.
Yeah.
Like everything kind of falls apart. So it's like, I'm also kind of like, all right, our relationship is uber important. But sometimes when you have that in your mind too, it can make every little disagreement be extra stressful. It can make things like be more than maybe they should be, because I'm just like, it's so important. It has to be right. Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I can't say I disagree. I think that, you know, this relationship is very important, as, you know, people being married, that's very important for sure.
Yeah.
And you have to nurture that, develop that, grow that, right? 1,000%. And then you have children, and children don't complicate things. They just add another level of responsibility that makes it a little bit more like, okay, I have to think about them before I think about me. And what I find is like when I think about the word of God, and I think about how God tells me to like think on these things, when I think about how God tells me to love my neighbor, when I think about these things, I'm saying, okay, God, you're telling me to think on these things. You're telling me to love my neighbor. And I'm like, I'm trying to manage all of that and still love me in these relationships. And I'm trying to still manage my emotions in these relationships. And somehow when I'm managing my ships, sometimes it feels lopsided, right? Like sometimes it feels very one way sometimes.
Mhm.
And that's hard because the word of God is commanding me to love. So then it's like, okay, I have to love and not be resentful. I have to love and not be petty. I have to love and not do these things because petty
Yeah.
Betty creep up.
Oh, I've met her.
Yeah.
I've met her.
And what's she like?
Not the nicest person to meet. If we don't have to meet her again, I'll be okay. I'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I done met, Petty D. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's, I also feel that is where God gives us the gift of forgiveness that has to come into this. Like how do you let things go, purge it, wash it, like he does for us? And I think he models that for us so that we can do that for ourselves. I believe that if you can learn how to forgive, you have attained a key to happiness.
Well, okay, yes. And based upon the word of God, right? We need to forgive. God wants us to forgive, and we all should be doing that. But let's be clear about this thing. That's not easy to do. And might I add, depending upon who has caused the offense, right? Whoever's hurt you, right? Whoever's done the thing, that forgiveness piece is hard, right? Yes, we need to do it, but I'm just saying, forgiveness is a big part, but that's hard sometimes depending on the who and the what. Right? You act like you forget, you just let everything go and everybody go and you just walk in on the bed of roses, David.
Bed of roses, yep.
No way. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
No, it's I didn't say it was easy. It is, depending on what it is, it could be a fight of your life. That's the honest truth, depending on what it is. But
yeah,
I will say that it is also necessary.
Yes, it is.
It is absolutely necessary.
It is so necessary. But for me to get there, I gotta let some stuff go, and let's keep it a buck. Sometimes people hurt you and people say stuff and do stuff. I'm getting deliverance right now from somebody who shall remain nameless, and you know them quite well. And they have said stuff, they have done stuff. They think they are never in the wrong. And sure as well, I feel like they walk with the devil every day. I feel like they walk with the devil every day that God sent. They wake up, talk about they love Jesus, but the devil in them is skipping to my loo every single day that God sent. And so for me, it is a process for me to forgive this said person.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a constant, like, I have to literally go before God and say, okay, God, help me to let this go. Help me to do this. Help me to do those things. Mm-hmm. Because it's not somebody I see quite often. Right. So it's easy. But it's like when I see them, the way my flesh rises up inside of me, like the visions I had in my mind about doing, what was that, like WWE, when you stand on top of the ropes and you just be like, and you just like jump on top of them. Like, what was that move called?
I don't know what the move
is. That a full Nelson?
No, full Nelson is when you.
Yeah, I be wanting to do a full Nelson sometimes in my mind. In my mind, I see them, and it's a full Nelson situation. Ooh, or that new thing called Power Slap. Have you seen Power Slap? Mm-hmm. Let's try it.
No, I don't want to try it. I don't want to try it.
Power slap as well. But what I'm saying is yes, God's calling me to forgive. Yes, God wants me to do these things, but my flesh rises up. And sometimes it's hard because I'm brought back to the trigger place. I'm brought back to the place of what they said or what they did.
Yeah.
And even though I'm in the process of letting it go, I'm in the process, it is always a work in progress. But I do put it before God. I'm like, God, help me. Because I promise you, this person said they need to pee in my house. I said, nope. You're gonna have to find a gas station or something. I can't help you. Can't even pee in my house.
Now you're giving clues. Let's stretch our hands for the pastor, the preacher. No, but it's real. No, it's real.
So you are just so. David, come on, keep it. This 10 toes down. So you just such a and you just forget everybody. Yeah, okay. People bringing COVID in your house.
I got some ideations from people too, where I just like, yeah, if it was a little bit different.
Yeah, come on here.
If it was a little bit different, if I was a little bit different, circumstances.
Full Nelson.
Yeah, for sure. But you said you're in a process, right? What does that process look like? How do we go down that path?
I think the process in managing relationships, the process of forgiveness is different per situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, when you piss me off or you make me aggravated.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Trying to get in the Bible here. What's up?
Yeah, you better find the Bible, sir. But when you piss me off or you make me aggravated, forgiving you is different, right? The process to forgive and the process to let go for you is different because I am in a covenant agreement in marriage with you. Yeah. So I am very intentional about rectifying that and letting that go because I sleep with you. I wake up to you.
Yep.
But that is different when it is people I work with. That is very different when it is just friends. That is very different when it's just acquaintances. The work I have to forgive in that way is much different.
Yeah.
I will say when it is a close friend, it is also very different too. Right. And so I think it's just how much we value that particular relationship will determine the work we put in to rectify, to forgive, to let go, and how much we love God. Right. I think my commitment to God is that I love God and I'm 10 toes down with God. And because I'm 10 toes down with God, I make it intentional to love people past the backstabbing, the hurt, or their lack of self-awareness in friendships.
Yeah. Because I think the other part about it is that there's forgiveness and then there's reconciliation.
Yeah.
Right? Those are two different things. And depending on what it is, you can forgive and maybe not reconcile.
That part.
I think God calls us to forgive, and where we can, we need to reconcile. But if someone is continuously hurting you, or if there is abuse or other things like that, you can let it go, but you ain't got to go to their house for the barbecue. You don't have to endanger yourself again just because you forgave them. It don't have to be normal for certain situations where it could still be dangerous, it could still be an issue. Even if it's emotional, you know what I'm saying, where it's just like, okay, you keep hurting me, I'm gonna let it go, but I'm gonna let you go too. Like, that's a thing.
No, that is a thing.
That's
no, that very much is a thing. And what I would say is that I feel like when we think about how people have hurt us, or that reconciliation and that forgiveness, I think it's different. Again, I think depending on the complexity of the relationship determines that forgiveness and forgiveness. Like it can be harder to forgive you because I'm in relationship with you. No, because we are in relationship, it can be harder to forgive because when I see your face, that trigger comes.
It don't really scare me, but okay.
But the forgiveness, because of the closeness, I feel like the closer you are, sometimes the closer you are, the more difficult it can be.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the further you are, like the relationship isn't as close. It could be just as hard. I mean, but forgiveness and reconciliation are two things that I think when we're managing relationships, it is something that we have to strive to do. And yeah, like my uncle was a thief, child. I mean, he was God, you know, I don't know why we say God bless the dead. He did, but you know, God rest his soul. But he was a thief. I'm talking about he would rob you when you were sitting right there. I mean, he literally stole my brother's Nintendo back in the day cartridge. We used to blow in it. And you used to blow it and you put it in the freezer, and then you go right and you put the Nintendo cartridge in, you play Duck Hunt, you play Zelda. No, Zelda was Genesis. You play Mario Brothers.
That was super.
Yeah, right. And so my uncle literally stole the gaming cartridge while playing the game with them. Now that's some stealth. I'm talking about he needed to be a ninja. He stole the cartridge.
Yeah.
Sitting right next to him.
But there was a reason for that. I mean, like, you know.
Yeah, he was a crackhead. Come on, everybody got somebody that's either crackhead, drunk, uncle. Come on, stop acting like you don't know nobody.
Right.
Everybody knows somebody. And my uncle was a crack holehead. And I'm telling you, he would have me cracking up. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Have me cracking up. But he stole their game right in front of them, playing the game. And so I'm saying that to say about reconciliation. Yeah. How do you reconcile with a thief? How do you reconcile with somebody every time you come to, grab your purse? Mm-hmm. Right? How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile a habitual liar? How do you reconcile a habitual abuser? How do you reconcile these things?
With boundaries.
But how do you boundary somebody who lies?
You take yourself out of situations where they need to lie to you. Like, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? If you're not, I'm just like, if I don't have to hang out with everybody, especially if they're lying, they're stealing. I'm not trying to deal with that. I know sometimes with family, there are times when they're around, but that's not something you have to engage all the time either. But for me, forgiveness is saying, okay, I'm letting this go and you don't owe me anything anymore.
Right.
Right. And that's what God does for us as well.
Yes.
He when we say, God, I'm so sorry, I did X, Y, and Z, you know, I full Nelson that girl, and Lord, you got to forgive me. And he's like, I forgive you. We're good. And he's like, all right, let's talk now. Let's do this. And sometimes we don't reconcile with God either. We'll ask for forgiveness and then go about our day and not spend that time with him now, communing, because sin is that barrier. We really take that barrier away, and now he wants to draw closer. But sometimes we get in these cycles where we don't draw closer. And I think for us in like relationship, like marriage and stuff like that, when it comes to forgiving, after that point of letting it go, it's important to draw back closer. I believe that's where you're going to be better off in the long term.
Yes, I agree. I think, we have to draw back closer, but you were talking about, right, that forgiveness and that reconciliation piece.
Right.
And let's be very clear. Those are two different things.
Yep.
And people struggle
processes.
And they're two different processes, but people struggle with both. Like some people say, I forgive, but I never forget.
Right.
Like that's like a really common thing people say.
Yeah. And I think that you can forgive and you're saying, but I don't reconcile.
Yeah. That's what you're really saying is I forgive you, but I don't reconcile.
You got to stay back here.
But okay. Yeah. You got to stay over there. But is that what God is calling us to do? Right. And listen, I throw myself under the bus all day. Mm-hmm. I'm very transparent. But is that what God is calling us to do? No, I think God is calling us to forgive and to reconcile. I think
much as possible.
As much as possible. I don't think if somebody's beating you upside your head that God is saying, you better stay over there. No, you need to run just like Tina did. I think that if somebody's beating you upside your head, maybe you need to get back and beat them back. I'm just saying, ain't no way in the world that I'm going to get abused and stay there. I'm keeping it a buck. Like, what are we doing? No, what are we doing? I don't think that that's necessarily God's best is for us to stay in any relationship that fosters any level of negativity, no matter, or abuse on any level. Like, you know, I don't know, like, I don't understand, and this is a conversation that we're going to talk about in the future. I don't understand how people are in abused relationships and stay. Like, I can't grasp that because I wish a sucker would. What? And that goes for men and women. Like, how do you stay in an emotionally abusive relationship and stay? Right? So there's so many layers to this, but I'm just saying forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. And I believe that if you forgive a person, you should be able to reconcile.
Yeah.
But I think reconciliation, I can reconcile with you and not still be around you, but be very cordial with you when I see you. Like, I can say, I forgive you, we reconcile. And when I see you, I'm able to have a conversation. I'm able to talk calmly, but that doesn't mean we playing Uno together. That doesn't mean I'm inviting you to every cookout.
Right,
that doesn't mean you're going to be in my safe space. It doesn't mean you're going to be in my inner circle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times we think that reconciliation means you're back in my inner circle. No, it just means we're on speaking terms. When I see you, I'll speak.
Yeah.
But you're not in my inner circle. You on the outside circle. Wasn't that in the movie? Yeah, that was Meet the Fockers or Meet the Parents. And he told him, he was just like, this is our inner circle. And he was like, this is our circle of trust.
Yeah, the circle of trust.
Circle of trust. And he's like, this is a circle of trust. And we're here. And you're out here. And you are not in the circle. This is the circle. You're outside the circle. And I think reconciliation does not mean you have to be in my circle of trust.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to forgive people that it's impossible to reconcile with.
I mean, what do you mean about that?
Sure. I mean, if someone passes away that did you dirty or abused you or something like that, you still got to go through that process of letting it go. If that's impacting your life and in your current situation, you have to put your feelings out there, whether you're sharing it with someone or you're writing it down or something like that, and to give it away and say, okay, they don't owe me anything anymore. You're not able to reconcile with them, but you still can forgive them. And that is for you. You know, so there are times when reconciliation may not be available as an option.
Yeah.
You know, if someone is away or, you know, isn't around anymore, those things happen. Whenever possible, I think it's important to reconcile, but there's also a level of safety and things like that have to come into play.
Yeah. And I think in reconciliation, I think that there's a release that happens for a said person, like whoever is reconciling. I think that is important. But I just wanted to emphasize that because just because I forgave you and just because I reconcile with you does not mean you are in my circle of trust. Just like in Meet the Parents. Like, this is my circle. And you may not be in my circle of trust, but I can talk to you. I can engage with you. And it doesn't mean we have to be best friends. It doesn't mean it's going to be what it was. But what it does mean is I'm not holding anything. I've released everything. And now I'm not blocking God in any capacity from answering my prayers, you know, blessing me or whatever it is. Like, I have now cleared that way. But a lot of people struggle with reconciliation. You've never struggled with reconciliation?
I have for sure.
In what way?
I think for me, in friendships, like I'm bad at keeping in touch anyways. And so if things ain't right, like, I'm not motivated to keep in touch. Like that's an easy one for me, you know, and that's that's something I gotta still work on. Just being more intentional and stuff like that about that reconciliation piece. But yeah, it's just kind of sometimes I'm just like, ugh, well,
Like the ships fall where they may. I
you
see
know,
it. See you when I see you. I mean,
yeah,
but yeah, I think reconciliation. I think for me, I think forgiveness is something that I had to overcome. I could hold. I can hold. Like
yeah.
I mean, I could.
Mm-hmm. You can hold. You got the capacity to
hold to his hands. God's unchanging hand. I could hold. Yeah, I could hold a grudge.
Yeah.
You talking about holding? I mean, I could hold a grudge like a baby that breastfeed. Like I'm just. I've done so much better in my life because me and God have gotten really close, and I realized that is not the best way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like you said, what did what with who? No.
Yeah, I remember in the beginnings of our relationship, there'd be some argument or something like that, and you would be like, "I'm talking to you," or you'd just be like, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, no," and I would be out. I would call my friends. I would be in the city. I would be everywhere. And then I'd call you and be like, "Hey, you okay?" You'd be like, "No."
Yeah, I would be so upset because I'm like, first of all, we're arguing. Like it is clear that an argument is happening.
I'm like, you're arguing.
and we would have a disagreement or argument, and then you would not talk, and you would just go frolic along and live life, and I would be even mad, like, oh, he gonna act like there is nothing going on. Remember that time we went to Aruba?
Uh-huh. Oh, we going there? We going to Aruba? Okay, let's go to Aruba.
Remember we went to Aruba?
I do remember when we went to Aruba.
Yeah, and
it was an amazing trip.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it was an aha moment. That was an aha relationship moment. Who goes to Aruba worlds? Who goes to somewhere with somebody that you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going out one day. Oh my God, you talking about a big argument? We were literally in Aruba, our first time there, and we go out one night, and at this particular time, we're at this restaurant, and we're just sitting down at the restaurant, relaxing, eating and drinking like normal people. And it was like a long, long table. And so these two women come to the other end of the table, and they're just sitting there literally minding their business. I'm talking about minding their business. We're over here, they're over there. And somehow, some way, Jolly David decides that he wants to strike up a conversation with two women when he's with his woman, and leaves me at the end of the table to walk over to talk to them because he's just making small talk. It was so awkward and so weird that the women were like, one lady even said to me, she was like, are y'all together? Like, cause she was confused.
And I'm just like, yeah, of course. Yeah. So, all right. So let me, and I learned a lot from that situation.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And he learned.
Don't do that.
Don't do that again. So the lesson is, men, if you're ever with your woman and there's other women around, even if you are conversational and a social butterfly, do not just go up to them and have a conversation, because we must consider everybody's feelings. Because I chopped his tail up that day. I was like, don't you ever do that mess again. But understanding him, I learned that he was just Jolly David.
Jolly David. In my head, I was like, these people are at our table and I need to at least say hello. And I was trying to bring Jennifer into the conversation, but she didn't really want to have that conversation, which is fair enough. I didn't understand that. And one thing about me is that I'm not the best at taking social cues in the moment. And when I catch them, sometimes it's very late in the process.
Oh my word. Very, very late.
I've had to learn how to, but that experience was pivotal for us because, man, like to see her wild out like she wild out and to see the level of anger that she had. I was just like, I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah, he had no idea. But that is managing relationships.
Right.
So even when you're managing relationships, you have to have a certain level of self-awareness.
Yeah. Or if you learn more, you have to figure out how to, make it up and then do better. You know what I'm saying? There's because I learned, and it seems obvious, right? But I didn't think it was a big deal at that time. And I could have been like, I wasn't trying to sleep with them girls. I wasn't trying to do nothing. Why are you even tripping? It's not that big of a deal. I could have been like that.
I would have had to go to the cross.
I'm just saying though.
I would have had to go to the
cross. But like there's people that like, yo, what is even the issue?
But I think when you're managing relationships, right, it's understanding everybody's respect level and what everybody needs, no matter if that's in relationships of marriage or friendships. It's understanding that, because I remember I used to say something like, I would see some like a Hispanic man. I'm like, hey, Papi, what's up? And I would just say, hey, Papi, what's up? All my life, I never realized, no one ever told me like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't say that. And I was with David one day and I was like, hey, Papi, what's up? And David was like, no, we're not doing that. No. He was like, we're absolutely. I was like, well, what aren't we doing? He was like, we're not doing that, Jennifer. And I was like, David. I was like, and he was like, no, I'm not cool with that. I'm not comfortable with that. And so in managing the ship, I understood, okay, that's a no-go, right?
Because I think, in relationships, it's important because women catch signs from other women.
Yeah, right? We do.
Right? Like, and that's part of that interaction in Aruba. You caught the signs from the other women that I wasn't catching, right?
But no, guys, I think that women's caught, what is he doing?
Right. Fair enough. I was in the wrong. Right. But guys also see different sides that women don't see.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
And, so like you calling somebody Papi and that dude's looking at me like, you serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's that communication between as men.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nah, yeah, she might've said that, but that don't mean nothing.
Or, right? Another one that I think a lot of people in relationships struggle with is what I call rubbernecking.
Yeah, that was a struggle. Just saying.
That rubbernecking. So
can you define rubber?
So world, if you don't understand what rubbernecking is, what I'm referring to is when you're walking with your significant other and someone of the opposite sex catches your attention. Maybe they're attractive or they have a lot of big muscles or whatever. And you're with your significant other. And instead of walking straight, your neck turns. Your neck turns. And you look, and I'm like, okay, right? And you look at whoever it is, or what one that we used to crack up in the beginning was, he would be like, but they're in my line of sight. Like, yep, they're in your line of sight. Well, change your sight. Change your sight. Look, if they're in your line of sight, get out of that line. Yeah. Get out of that line. Yeah. But I think a lot of people use rubbernecking as an excuse.
Rubbernecking is an excuse
to gratify them looking at someone else.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
you have control of your neck, and so we had to adjust his rubberneck. We had to adjust it.
But also, I feel like there are transitions in relationships where I was, dating multiple people, you know what I'm saying, and out there just being single and then coming into a relationship, I had to learn how to, like, I am a hunter, but now I have found someone. Like, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like figuring out how to hone that to
One person. Right.
is a transition, you know.
And people don't talk about that in marriages. They don't talk about that. Like, even though you're dating and you could have been exclusive for a time, there is still an adjustment period.
Yeah, there's loose ends you got to tie up.
I had to listen. Managing real. I remember newly married, and I'm thinking I'm cooking. I'm thinking as a wife, I'm doing my wifely duty. I'm cooking. I'm doing the things I need to do, and I would always feel like this presence, like over my shoulder in the kitchen, and I would be like, "What is he doing?" And I'm seasoning it the way I'm seasoning it, and so he would be like, "Are you going to add any oregano?" Are you going to add any onion powder? Maybe just a little lemon pepper. And I was like, well, do you want to cook? Because clearly I'm the sous chef and you're the chef and I'm the one in the kitchen. I remember that.
Yeah, there was a few times I felt like I needed to save the meal. I saw it going left and I needed to save it. And I saw an opportunity at that moment.
To save the meal. It was not even that bad.
Listen, I'm just saying that was my mindset. I had to learn to just let it go.
And I had to get delivered from Lowry's. I will admit. Mm-hmm. Me and Lowry's was real close.
That was all you had. Lowry's. It's got everything in there. It's one bottle.
Listen, don't mess with my Lowry seasoning, okay? Lowry's does come in a pinch. And for all my foodie people out there, one substitute that I have found that is better than Lowry's is chicken bouillon, but that is another conversation for another day.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we went from Lowry's to chicken bouillon.
We're managing our ships. Mm-hmm. We understand we have to give people grace to grow.
Yeah.
Grace to develop. Mm-hmm. Right. And grace to let go.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's evolution.
Yeah. I think for me too is that no matter what your situation is, there are people that would really like to be there.
Yeah.
You know,
as married people.
No, not just married people, and single people too. It's there. I mean, if you're single, there's like a life that you can have. There are things that you can do that is very hard to do being married with children. Like Jennifer and I, we fantasize about taking naps. Right? Like just going to sleep whenever you feel like it. That's a really big deal.
You know what? Let me tell you something. That is real. I literally will hide in the bathroom. Sometimes I'll pray in the bathroom. Sometimes I'll listen to the word in the bathroom, because the bathroom I so thought was my private place. I thought the toilet was my place of solitude. And listen, we listen and we don't judge. And that was my place sometimes until I had children. Mm-hmm. And now them jokers walk in the door and just be looking at you. You be like, I'm in the bathroom. They're like, okay, great. Like, I can't even go to the bathroom and hide.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, but so I think in whatever situation you are, I think it's important to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And lean in to the strengths of it. Sometimes we always look at the downsides of wherever you're at, but it's like there's a lot of power in like being married. I know there's so many people that want what we have.
Yeah.
Would love to have children and have kids, and it's kind of like we have it. Now it's up to us to enjoy it and like you know, get over some of the hurdles to get to that enjoyment piece.
But I also think that there's very much a part of this where you have to enjoy the space that you're in when you're managing relationships. Mm-hmm. Enjoy where you are.
Exactly.
Embrace where you
Embrace
are.
It. Yep.
Right? Because I remember once upon a time, I enjoyed not being able to get up. I enjoyed literally, I could sleep in on a Saturday morning,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so those are times that I now reminisce about.
Yeah.
I reminisce about just
Mm-hmm.
doing nothing and feeling absolutely great about that. And now as a mom, when I feel like I'm doing nothing, I feel terrible because I feel like I should be doing something, right? And so I think that as you're managing your ships, you need to enjoy the space you're in. And I think you need to recognize where you are in your ships.
Yeah.
There are some ships that are just about to sail. There are some ships that are about to dock, and maybe you need to get off the boat, right? Like there's different, and there's some ships that are sailing and they're smooth. Ooh, you know what else is really good? Not allowing someone else's ship to affect your ship.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is often like when we're in relationships that are healthy, that are good, and you could be around other people who might be in toxic relationships or going through negative experiences, their situation all of a sudden becomes your situation. Right. And all of a sudden it's like they're going through hell and now you're bringing hell to your situation. Like let people manage their ships.
Absolutely.
And whatever ship they got, that's their ship. Just don't allow their ship to affect your ship. Your ship is on a course.
100%.
And let it stay on that course.
I feel like women do that more than men. I could be wrong.
What?
I'm saying, like, I hear about your friend's man's cheating and everything. Now, next day, what's on your phone? What are you doing? I'm just watching TV. I don't even know what's going on. Like,
Pause. Pause.
Okay,
I'm
pause.
not really like that. Let's be clear about that thing.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Let's tell all the truth and shame the devil. I am not like that. I've never been the woman. That's why I even play on this YouTube.
Okay.
I have never been the one to check your phone.
Okay. All right. Excuse me.
Let's bring clarification.
Let's bring clarification.
It's on your camera.
My wife never goes through my phone. However, I think that she made a very good point about not bringing hell from somebody else's relationship into your own.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true.
And we'll make sure you don't edit this out of the podcast. So
I'm not going to edit this out. We'll come back.
Go to minute 45.
Minute 45 and check that. But I definitely think that sometimes when we are managing our ships, recognize where you are.
Yeah.
Recognize your ship is on a course and let it stay that course. Unless you are coming to the dock, then maybe you need to get off. Or maybe there's a boat that you're thinking about getting on and you're not sure. Maybe it's time to take sail.
Okay. Another thing, I think that sometimes we can get into issues or dysfunction when we treat one relationship like another one's supposed to be.
That's good.
All right.
That's good.
Like you're in a friendship.
Yeah.
But you are treating it like a dating.
Oh, now I've seen a lot of women do that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of women do that.
Right. Where you have a friend of the opposite sex and now you're requiring them to do a lot of boyfriend stuff. Right. Escort you, take you here, pay for you. But then you're not. But then they're like, well, can we be boyfriends? You're like, yo, you're my friend. Yeah. That, from a man's standpoint, that is going to, or even just on the other side, guys do it too, where they're just hoping and waiting and sitting there and not sharing that they really are like madly in love with somebody. Right. And they're trying to be your friend.
Yeah, but I have seen women do that. Women will put a guy in the friend zone and not tell him he's in the friend zone. And he is taking you out to dinner. He is spending time with you, doing friendship things. And you know daggone well that he is hoping one day that you will pay him attention in a way that you will never pay him attention. Yeah. And I've seen women abuse that. I had to be delivered.
So when you say seed, you Yo, listen.
I had to be delivered.
Jen and I were dating. She was like, I think you're my you're my really good friend or best friend. I was like, no, he ain't. I was like, what? You are my girlfriend. Don't ever say that full of shit.
Listen,
Did I say that?
you definitely did, but I think in this conversation, in this part, I think it is we have to learn to be honest with people about what we want and what we don't want. And I'm just saying, as a person who had to be delivered from keeping a lot of people in the friend zone, knowing that they wanted to be out, right? You learn not to waste people's time.
It's not just wasting people's time. You're wasting your own time.
I don't know, but them steak dinners was good.
They were good. But guess what? You could have been having a steak dinner with somebody you were actually interested in. You could have made the space for someone that you really wanted to be with. But now you're wasting your own time doing this stuff, and people are looking at you. You're going out, and people that might be interested are looking at you but stepping away because you with somebody else. So there's that part. But then I think even when you start dating, sometimes people start treating that person like they're your husband or wife when y'all just freaking met.
Yeah.
All right. Like we exclusive and you can't talk to nobody else, and you can't, like, hold on. Y'all are just going out to eat every now and again.
Girl, he just took you to Friday.
Like, chill.
You better get that 2 for $20.
I mean, I'm just saying that we are expecting all of this exclusivity, all of these things that are for married people, or you're doing married things and then expecting that to happen when you're out of order anyways.
You're out of order. But that's real. That's real. And I think that, like, if you are in relationships like that, where you know that they want something more from you that you are not willing to give and you don't want to give, and you do not see yourself in a future with this person, listen to me. Don't waste your time, because you will get caught up and end up in some mess and in some stuff that you do not want to deal with. Yeah. Don't waste your time.
It breeds dysfunction.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
it does.
Like it's dissonance, because as humans, we need progression. Yeah. Right. And if you or the other person is in the way of that progression and is trying to keep something stagnant, the only thing is that it will grow apart, or it will grow resentment and bitterness and all kinds of stuff. And now you might feel bad because you did waste this person's time, knowing you didn't want to get married, but you was just dating them for all this time. All these things, now your relationships that's where it gets complicated, right? Yeah. And so I think it's very important to understand what it is and be very clear and upfront. And if it ain't that, then you don't need to force anything.
Yeah, you don't. Nobody's forcing you. And the one thing, when we're talking about managing relationships, and David said this, and it's very, very true. The one area, there are a few others, but one area where you need to be completely selfish is about the person you choose to want to marry. Absolutely. Like, that is the one thing that you are not doing this for mama. You're not doing this for daddy. You're not doing this for Uncle Ray Ray.
For the pastor.
You're not doing this for the pastor or the church, right? You need to be completely selfish about who you want to be with. I mean, that's really, really important. I think that, there are some things that, we've experienced and that people know that, and we know of through people where, just because you have a child with somebody does not necessarily mean you need to marry them. Now, I'm not saying that you are not out of the order of God in which God had intended it, right? You should get married and have children. We understand that doesn't always happen. I want to be clear, that's not God's best, but it still does happen. And so we want to live our lives according to the word of God, but also understand, like, this is a life that you're going to choose to be with somebody for the rest of your life. You need to choose to be with somebody that you like. You need to choose somebody that's nice. You need to choose somebody that's attractive. I mean, there are other things that that you need. Do not settle. Do not settle. And so I think, as we're thinking and as we're discussing managing your ships, We all are at different places in our lives. We all are in different spaces. But one thing I know for sure is we are all on a ship. The question is, where's your ship going? Are you happy on your ship?
Mm-hmm.
And is your ship docking? Is it time to get off the boat? Or maybe you are about to set sail. Whatever stage you are in, even with friendships or intimate relationships like husband and wife, dating, just make sure that you keep God at the center and make sure that you are doing what is pleasing and acceptable to God.
Yeah.
Right. That's in all our joking and all our jesting, like that's really what's important. And you don't want to be with somebody who does not give you the space to do that. If somebody's not allowing you to build a relationship with God, if they're infringing upon that, then maybe you need to reevaluate that relationship. Mm-hmm. If somebody is toxic, breathes negativity, or they just simply don't respect you, respect your family, or are disrespectful, maybe you need to rethink that, right?
Yeah.
If you feel like you're being used or taken advantage of, mm-hmm. right? Maybe you need to rethink that. And maybe if you're single and you haven't found nobody yet, maybe you need to rethink how you look. Maybe you need to rethink how you dress. Maybe you need to rethink how you talk to people.
Right.
Because there is somebody for everybody, but you also need to be a certain way, conduct yourself a certain way. Like, ain't no man with no lady who ashy or stank.
I don't know. All those things can be fixed, you know. Just being, but yeah. Guys sometimes can be less picky than you think. I will say that in Luke chapter 6, getting back to the Bible here, it says that a good tree, in verse 43, a good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. A tree is identified by its fruit. Figs are never gathered from thorn bushes, and grapes are not picked from bramble bushes. So a good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart. Mm-hmm. And an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart. So you know somebody's heart by their fruit.
Yeah.
You know somebody's heart by what they say to you, how their actions are. And that's very important. And also, if you're being mean, if you're doing things that are contrary to this, then guess what? You might be like, but you know my heart. But no, we know your heart by your fruit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to, if that's you that's doing those things, or if you're seeing other people, it's important to getting back in with God and asking him to change your heart, because he's here to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And also putting up boundaries around people. If they're showing you their fruit and it ain't good, it ain't good.
Yeah, stop eating that rotten apple. Go to the produce shop, get some new fruit. Stop eating that rotten. No, seriously, in metaphoric way, based upon the scripture, right? Mm-hmm. Look at people's fruit, and you want to be around people that are producing fruit.
Good fruit.
Good fruit. Manage your ships, right? Because ships take work. And you are the captain of your ship. And who you let on your boat is totally up to you. I've decided to let this guy on my boat. Mm-hmm. And it is one of the best decisions I could have ever made.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. One of the best decisions she could have ever made.
Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please share this podcast with your friends and your family, because we talk about faith, family, and everything else. You can join us Mondays nights on our 10 Toes Down prayer call at 7:00, where we're praying for you, your family, and whatever you have going on. I'm Jen.
I'm David.
Have an amazing day. And remember to always remain 10 toes down. Bye, guys.
Bye.